welcome to another edition of Nights with Ricky. I'm your host, Ricky Reeves, and tonight I'm going to talk about materialism. Now, materialism is something that the entire world, I would say, everyone does like nice things. Everybody should want nice things, but sometimes it could get taken way over, way out of context. It really can, and it could just go overboard and turn people into some just terrible people. Their egos can become very inflated, and they just feel that if I have these things, that people are going to treat me a certain way, and it'll have them stuck in this certain matrix about like that. And it's definitely not a good thing long term. And it could really, really, because they say money buys you happiness, it brings you happiness. And I'm sure it does on a certain level. But also, usually see people. I mean, Robin Williams, he was somebody that had pretty good amount of money, made a good amount of money over his career, and he wasn't happy, and he committed suicide. I mean, it just shows you that money doesn't, guarantee that at all. Our material possessions, houses, homes, mansions, cars, boats, all that stuff is great to attain those things and gain it, but you got to maintain those things too. And sometimes they could be hard to maintain. And then if I see people that are like rich and they'll have all these different things and they just have so much access to so many different things. And then all of a sudden the day comes when everything goes wrong in their life. And then all of a sudden, now people that are didn't even have the money like them, just the average everyday Joe, be talking about that person and bringing them down, and oh, look what happened to you and stuff like that. And that's gonna cause some more problems to their mind and stuff. And then I can see how some of them commit suicide and everything. But everybody is always worried about how people are going to, look at them and how they're portrayed by people. Your image is pretty much, everybody cares about their image somewhat. Now, some people that don't care about their image, they're usually pretty like stable and more happy. And one thing about materialism is that people chase that more than spiritualism. You know, I think, when if you're spiritual, that's what you should be really chasing the most. I'd have no issue with people trying to obtain any material possessions. And definitely, if you can, definitely do that. Because if you're blessed enough to receive those things, I mean, I look at it like this: as long as you get those things the right way instead of the wrong way. I'm talking about you earn that money, you work for that money, you gained your wealth the correct way, instead of like if you were selling drugs. Because I'll tell you this, most people I know that sell drugs, they obtain all this stuff right, but they didn't do it the right way. So I look at that as cursed blessings. But uh, I look at it as just cursed blessing. That's what I'll call it. But if you actually did it the right way, that money is just blessed. I mean, it's just your blessings are blessed with that if you did it the right way. Because when it's cursed, that stuff gets taken away. The courts take it, they seize it, repo it, all that stuff. And then when they get out of prison, they ain't got none of those material possessions that they gained. They got to either go do the same thing again or actually just do it the right way, and then they can obtain those things. That's why I see there's a total difference with that. But if you feed your spirit and you treat your spirit like gaining, gain how you gain these material possessions, if you treat your spirit like that, I truly believe the material things should just come along the way. Like LeBron James, I got my feelings about LeBron James on the court, but that's a whole different story. He's a great player, but we're not going to get into that. But one thing about LeBron James is that his spirit, he feeds his spirit exactly what he needs. He definitely, takes care of himself from the inside out, especially being a young kid. 18 years old, going straight to the NBA, and he's exceeded expectations on and off the court. He is definitely one of the greatest athletes off the court I've ever seen. Like, if you want the standard of what an athlete is to be like, it is LeBron James. I give him that all day long. I highly respect him for that. And I just know that he feeds his spirit and his mind, with just great positive things. And he got all these different possessions because of that. And I truly see that from him. Now, on another note, if you seen, I seen, who was it recently? Well, okay, I'll use R. Kelly for example. He wasn't feeding his spirit. He was feeding his material possessions, those women. He was feeding his urges. That's what he cared about. The image, how he looked and everything. When you see him do that Gayle King interview, that hair was jet black. It was jet black. He was crisp and clean. When he didn't have that money and he was in them orange jumpsuits, he looked like a old man, like a regular old man. Like he couldn't afford those things no more. But see, it left him with a broken spirit. And you don't ever want to be left with a broken spirit, especially when you're all into materialism. So I would suggest definitely feed your spirit before you feed your material urges. Because I just truly believe the material possessions and everything that'll come with it as long as you're spiritually in tune with yourself. And then, because a lot of people, if they go chase material possessions, they'll go obtain these things, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, "I'm not happy." Then they got to spend money on a therapist to tell them ways to get happy. When if you invest it into your spirit first, you won't ever have to see a therapist. You'll be the therapist within yourself. And I think people really need to realize that, and they'll be better off long term. That's what I truly feel and believe. And because it's nice to have the gold chains, the cars, the women, and all these things. Look what I got. But if your spirit is not fed and you have no good foundation and you end up losing those things, a lot of bad things can happen to you. They said there's 6 million ways to die. Choose one. That's definitely going to happen because you don't know how to handle certain situations. That's why it's so important to feed your spirit quality things, positive things, whether it's, whatever religion, even if you're not into religions or anything like that, as long as you feeding something that's going to have some value later on and that you could pass on, those material things are going to come to you, especially if you focus on your spiritual side. Those material things, they'll just pop up to you and you'll keep them. You'll be able to keep those things instead of if you was doing it the wrong way, you just chased it and wanted it so bad and you got it, but then you don't have it no more. Because you got to remember too, everything loses value over time. You got to get a new iPhone every 6 months. Like you think you just got one and now here comes another one. Everything loses value. So you should never ever like, that's why I said like, you know, Jordans, Air Jordans. I've never owned any Air Jordans. Just never have. And it's because I'm not a materialistic person. Like I'm good with some Nike Cortez shoes. That's my favorite shoe. And that's the shoe I like. It might not be the most popular shoe for a lot of people, but that's the shoe I like. I don't know, you know, I don't have no urge to have no Jordans. It's good for somebody's image and stuff like that, but it's not worth it to me in the long run. But somebody that is feeding their spirit, you're going to a church, to a mosque, you're going to metaphysical fairs, you're reading, learning something. You're not only reading, but you're learning something from what you're reading, and you're just building your spirit up into a strong thing within your body. That's definitely better than materialism, in my opinion. So that was just my little quick take on materialism. And definitely make sure to like, share, and subscribe and comment. And definitely let me know what you think as well. Until next time, peace.